dark, and it'd be a pain in the butt for me to try to turn this with this stereo portion of it on top. That there's a doesn't look too bad. It's got some webs, looks like, in there. Nothing looks like it would stand out as bad at all. So I think cosmetically the radio portion of this should still be good. Don't have to worry about it so much. Just have to work on the receiver portion of it. Getting these caps here replaced, and then hoping that these right here would still be fine. If not, I'll have to do something about those as well. So, but we'll see when the time comes, when I get a chance to. Right now I got a really grave situation at this moment in time, so I'm not too sure on how much time I'll be able to have to try to get to this or not. Plus, I had to try to look for this stuff on eBay, since eBay is my only option. There's no there's no electronic places that I'm aware of, but if anybody knows any places that are good that I can get capacitors, and we could use PayPal or something, then you can set a link down below, and I'll make sure I thank you on that. So, because I need to see if I can try replacing all these things, and the only place I can go is eBay, which I had to try guessing what all I can get that's close, since the values of the old capacitors compared to the new capacitors nowadays just do not match whatsoever, and everybody, well, the majority of all people that repair stuff like this old actually knows. But for people like myself, I do not know, so I'm left in the dark. I just have to guess what's good, what's not, and try to match a value that's close. Within a certain percentage, as some people say. Within about 10% of where it's supposed to be. So, but that'll be the end of this session. See ya. Hey there, YouTubers. This is Cloud Tank once again. This is going to be a session on the Seeburg HSC1, as you would see from the title of the video. This is the next portion I'm going to do. I'm going to attempt to do the difficult part on this, which is replace some caps inside this machine. I got these two green caps right here I got to replace. And I got two more that's sitting right here. I got another two, well, technically four. Bring it over so you can see it in the light here. I got these two caps right here on this side of the switch. And I got these two over here on this side of the switch. The plastic on the outside of these are both rotted out, and since I don't want to trust these things anymore, I'm going to go ahead and remove those out of this unit. But it's going to be quite difficult, since the way this unit has been designed. This design has actually been around for quite a while, since this is basically 1970s. This still exists even to this day, which you might see a video I did before or after I post this video, and you'll basically see what I mean on it. Another thing I'm going to be replacing is going to be these blue caps here, here, and these two big guys right here. These other two that's over here, I'm going to go ahead and leave those in here for now. So, but I'm just going to replace these two, those two, and these here. Which, for the odd capacity of these caps right here, these are 640 microfarads at 25 volts. I could not find any on eBay whatsoever for these, since I don't have a local store. Like, well, Radio Shack is unreliable because they have a limited amount of capacitors, and I don't have a huge variety of them, so it's kind of hard to do research on what all caps are available, and I have no knowledge or any websites that I'm aware of that will sell you, or let alone list, these size caps that are available for purchase at all. So instead, what I'm going to do when I replace those, I'm going to be doing a chain capacitor deal where I'm taking two small caps, like these two, like these things here. I'm going to tie them together. Now, since these are 640 microfarads, these little caps, I'm going to be showing here on camera in a second once I get it lined up for you. You see, these little caps are only 330 microfarads at 25 volts. And since those things are 640, I have no other means to get up to that value. So instead, I found some 330 microfarad capacitors. So I tied these two together, even though it equals out to 660 microfarads. So it's going to be 20 microfarads more than what these are. But if I was thinking correctly on the percentage-wise, it should be alright. It's going to be a little bit more capacity than what these are could be by themselves, but I think it should work. So, but if anybody actually thinks to differ, you can leave a comment down below. So, but I think that's how this works. I've seen a few YouTube videos where some people have replaced caps in some resistors, which I rarely see it with those, but mainly with caps, where they take like 2 caps or so, at least, no more than 2. I've never seen anyone do it with 3. Take them and tie them into a series to increase the capacity for the right amount of microfarads to run through the system. But anyway. Anyways, so what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to take this unit apart just so I can get to this board out. Now, the only way to do that on this particular unit, like I would mention, this back piece right here is the only piece that can be removed. This section here, which is this L-shaped bracket, is the only thing is one piece. This back piece here is not. This is a separate piece. So, there are screws, as you can see, that are screwed down from the bottom. And so when this thing comes apart, I'll have to remove 1, 2, 3, 4 screws to get this off. I got to remove those 4 screws. Once I get those 4 screws off, then I have to check to see what all wires I'll have to disconnect, and also have to have them labeled. So like I got these 3 wires here on this piece here. Then I got another 3 wires on the other side. Most likely all of these are probably going to have to be desoldered since they're attached to the board. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to get like a piece of paper or something. And there's a 4th wire right here I missed. Sorry about that. I'm going to write down write down the colors for each of these and get them in order. So that way when I resolder them back on, they'll all be back in where they should be. And I'm going to have to do the same thing for this side here. For these 4 wires. Then I'll have to do the same thing for this fuse holder. This is going to have to be disconnected as well. This part right here is going to be a bit tricky since it's got multiple screws, but should be able just to remove these 2 pieces here, which I'm assuming is got to be for like a wire connector, which looks like it's the exact same style as you see on the old communication device, which basically where you tap it down for a type of code and you use it to do your wording. I usually have the name on the top of my head, but sometimes even I forget things, so but a lot of people would actually get the reference what I'm talking about, so it's a thing that they used back in the old days. Then I'm going to have to disconnect the wires, possibly, from these here, which I might have to, but I might just do it anyway. I have to disconnect these wires to get them off. And hopefully that should be all, but there might be some more wires I might have to desolder off. This is so I can get this back piece off completely. And the tricky part is going to be this amp right here. This transformer. My bad. Speaking. The transformer here. But I should be able to get it out by just taking out these 4 screws. There's like 4 of those screws with caps on it. Should be able to just unscrew those, and this thing should fall right out of this. So I'm going to get started with that. First, I'm going to remove the nuts that are in the front here. I already got these broken loose. This one here was the hardest one. I had to grab a monkey wrench to get that off. So I'm going to remove all these here, and then we're going to move on to the back and get rid of all those screws. Okay, so I got the screws off of the, well, nuts. I got the nut rings off of the knobs in the front, and I also removed the screws that were holding the RCA headphone jacks in the front here. Since they're kind of attached to the board, especially this one that's right here is attached, so I decided to disattach these 2 here so that way they come off. I got to come along with this huge switch. It's got a lot of things that you can see it's going on right there. So all that's just still going to be attached to it. So I'm going to remove all this here, except for this piece here, which is these switches for the off and on switch, the radio, and there was like another one for something. I can't remember what it was, but those are going to be staying in there. So don't have to worry about removing those. Just might have to desolder 2 wires off this first this switch right here. I got these 2 red wires that probably most likely have to come off because they attach to the board button here. So that's gonna have to come off. One's on one end of that. Yeah, one's on the other. So that's gonna have to come off. But I got these all desoldered, so all these have been removed. They were kind of a pain because they have them bent like this over it, where it's like a complete 180 bent around each of these little posts. So, but I got them written down so that way I don't forget. Right now I'm going to work on the fuse holder, which I put number 1 down, since there's 2 of them here. There's fuse holder number 1 I labeled, and fuse holder number 2 that I labeled. So I'm going to get those. I'm going to get to this one here eventually, but next one is going to be up. It's going to be this guy right here. As soon as I desolder him off, then I'm going to desolder these wires off. I'm going to get these out of here so I can do what I need to do. This piece is just riveted in. Now I got to break that rivet, so I'm just going to desolder the wires off. Using a little bit of flux, of course, to clean the contact points so I can get it off. Alright, now into the final stretch. I got the transformer unscrewed from the back piece here. I got the last fuse holder right here desoldered. It was kind of a pain because it's really tight spacing to try to get the solder tip down onto the post right here that's currently unfocused. There it goes. The wire that was posted right here, it's kind of a tight squeeze, but you can get it in there. Just have to watch it. I actually burned a little bit of this wire here, hit it, but it should be alright. Then I got the other end of it, so these here are also been desoldered, and also removed the 2 screws that were in place right here. So I got that sitting off to the side here. Now the next part is going to get the remaining screws on the bottom of this and then move this plate, and hopefully I don't have to remove anything else, but I would have to find out. Looks like it's probably going to be these 2 here, since they're attached to the plate that's holding the 4 power transistors. And I wish I can get these things replaced, or at least update them to a new modern system style, like a one with the 4 legs and stuff, a transistor. But unfortunately I can't do that, so I'm just stuck with these guys here for now. So we'll get this bracket piece off and move on from there.